Hey, it's Garina. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to do a health and wellness video. So if you've ever watched my channel, you know I kind of have a lifestyle channel. I talk about different things, and whenever something has affected myself, my family members, I kind of like to share it with you in hopes that it would help someone else. So that's kind of what this video is. If this is your first time here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and we'll get started. Okay, so today's video is going to be on hand, foot, and mouth disease. It is something that my daughter contracted. I was not too happy about that, but you know, life happens. So I wanted to share with you her experiences and what I did to help her get through it. I do have to start with the caveat that I am not a doctor, I am not a nurse, and I am not in the medical field, but I did actually consult with a nurse as well as briefly spoke to her doctor, and I also did a little research on my own. So hand, foot, and mouth disease is basically a viral infection that you get. It's more common in kids 5 years old and younger because you contract it from daycare or like school, busy environments where there's lots of kids and germs, basically. So she contracted it the last day of school. And basically what it is, it starts, and this is how it gets its name, it starts as a rash in and around your mouth, on your hands and your feet. So that's kind of how it gets its name. So, and it can spread because it spread on my daughter. So my daughter got it from the last day of school, I believe. And basically hers started as a low-grade fever, and she was very lethargic, and you know, she didn't have much of an appetite, and she complained about her throat. So those are some symptoms. Now this thing can lay dormant for a few days. So just know that a few days later is when everything can start, and that's what happened to my daughter. I actually woke up the next morning. It was the first day of daycare, first day of summer, and took her to daycare. They called me like 3 hours later, told me to come pick her up because the rash appeared. So the day before is when she had the fever, the low-grade fever, and she just didn't have an appetite. She didn't have much of an appetite through any of this. And my daughter can eat. So Sunday night is when she had the fever and also had the sore throat. Monday morning I woke up, gave her something for a sore throat. So I took her to her doctor's office. Her doctor automatically said, oh, this looks like hand, foot, and mouth disease. I remember her saying that. But she's like, well, let's check her out just to see what's going on. So a nurse or assistant or whatever came in, swabbed her throat. It was raw. The Q-tip was like pink when they took it out. And then she went and tested it. Said she doesn't have strep throat. It's viral and we can't treat her. And they sent me on their way, or on our way. And I kind of wasn't too happy about that because I'm just like, okay, you didn't tell me anything. And I guess as a parent, I really should have asked more questions. But they just made it seem like, you know, it would heal itself. And they're like, oh, it's not contagious. You can just take her to school. We'll give you a note. You can take her back. And I decided not to. And then the next couple days, it got really bad, really bad. And I actually ended up contacting my cousin, who is a nurse and works in a hospital with babies. And I sent her pictures and she said, that's hand, foot, and mouth disease. She's like, the doctor was right in that it's viral and they can't give you medication for it. But she says, that is very contagious. Do not take her to school or daycare or whatever. So I was like, great. So basically it lasted about 11 or 12 days. On average, it will last 7 to 10 days. So my daughter's maybe just lasted a couple extra days because she just had a really, really bad rash. So again, it kind of starts as a flat rash on your palms and the bottom of your feet and your mouth. But hers spread, of course, to the outside of her hands. And I'll show you pictures and they are graphic. So if you can't take pictures looking at rashes and stuff like that, you may want to fast forward like 15 seconds or so. But she got it on her hands really bad. It was really, it looked horrible on her hands, but it was on her hands. It was on her, of course, her feet, like I said, but it was also on her knees. It was on her elbows. It was actually all over her arms, but it was worse on her hands and elbows. It also was on her ears, and it was also on her face. It like traveled from inside her mouth onto the outside up to her nose. So in the last picture I'm going to show you is of her face, and that's more of when she started to heal. So when she started to heal, what it did was the rash kind of bubbled up a little bit, almost like it had the liquid, you know, in it, fluid in it, and then it crusted over, and then it's like it scabbed up and then fell off. And so of course, you know, if you're brown skin, when you scab up and the scab falls off, your skin is a little pink underneath it. So hers literally was like a whole bunch of pink little dots. but that is basically how it healed. Now, I will tell you what I did. Given that it does have to run its course and it's viral, I tried to give her colloidal silver, or colloidal silver. Some people say colloidal silver. I do have a really old video on that, but I'll still go ahead and link it down below if you're interested in colloidal silver, what brand I use, and the benefits of it. But it is like antiviral, antifungal, antibacterial. It's really great to use when you have some sort of infection. So I did give her probably about half a teaspoon of that a day. I try to do it every day. But if you have like a little cup, you know how when you get children's medicine, it comes with that little cup with 5 milliliter and 10 milliliter lines. I gave her like 2.5 milliliters of the colloidal silver. So I did that to help with the viral part of it. But all you really can do with this, because it does have to run its course, is make your child as comfortable as you can. So what I did was I had ointment, any over-the-counter ointment you have, calamine lotion, things like that will help with, you know, the itching a little bit. Well, my daughter did say that the calamine lotion started to burn after about a day, so I stopped using that. And I actually ended up just giving her organic raw like coconut oil, you know, that's solid and melts when you start like handling it. I would put a big spoonful in a little bowl for her. Don't double dip the spoon, just put one big spoonful. And then I put about 5 drops of lavender essential oil because it's calming in the coconut oil. I stirred it up and then I gave it to her, and she kept it in her bathroom, and she would put it on her body when she started to itch. So if the itching got really bad, I gave her Benadryl. So, but I try not to give her Benadryl for a really long time, or every day, like every 4 to 6 hours, because I knew that this thing could go on for 7 to 10 days. So I said, okay, I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna like give it to her when she's really, really itchy. Also for her sore throat, she ate tons of popsicles, which she milked. She loved that. So it helps with the sore throat, as well as when it was really bad, I gave her like either Motrin. I gave her Motrin, but you can give her Motrin, you can give her Tylenol, Advil, you know, any of those kind of that help relieve pain would do. But I only gave it to her when she really, really complained about it. Otherwise, I just told her to go get a popsicle. So I tried not to give her as much medication because I didn't want to give it to her for an extended period of time. But that is kind of how I made sure I kept her as comfortable as you can, because it is very, very itchy. Now, like I said, it is contagious. So what I did to kind of take necessary precautions so I wouldn't get it, or my husband, I didn't let her touch anything. I made sure whatever she wanted, a snack or a popsicle, I got it for her. Every few days I wipe down the handles of the refrigerator door and my handles on my doors with like Clorox wipes. I put tea tree oil and lavender essential oils in the hand soaps, just to kind of help with more of the antibacterial fighting properties of the like liquid hand soaps. So I washed her sheets once during that week and then once the next week, just to kind of really make sure nothing was spreading anywhere. I also, when I wash dishes, I put a tiny bit of bleach in my dishwater, just a tiny bit. I mean, I was just doing everything I could to make sure nothing spread to anyone else and that she, got rid of what she had. I did find a really good site that I, read, and it was like to a T what happened to her. So I will link that below. So if you want to do a little bit of reading on that and maybe natural ways to combat it, I believe it did have some natural ways in it as well to help with the itching and everything like that. So please feel free to read that website below if it would help you. But again, if you really don't know what your child has, do go see your doctor. If they don't give you a lot of information, like my doctor did not give me much, or my daughter's doctor, do a little bit of your own research and try to make your child as comfortable as you can for them to get through this. So if you have multiple children, I recommend that you do not bathe your children together. Just do whatever you can not to spread this virus. If you have toys and you have multiple children, make sure you are sanitizing them toys daily. I probably wouldn't let them play with the same toys, if you get my drift, because it is very contagious. So that is my video on hand, foot, and mouth disease. If you have any questions or anything, just leave them down below in the comment section, and I will try to answer them as best as I can. But it is very unfortunate viral infection, so if your child gets it, just make sure you make them comfortable and you are safe, and so it does not spread. So that is my video today. I hope some of you found it informative, and I will see you in the next one.